Hello, Angry Spork here, with episode 17 of Young Justice Season 3, First Impressions, where we start off over the Atlantic Ocean, go well into its depths, and see a peculiar-looking ship. Lights come on. Spooky! And so forth. Then we jump to the Watchtower. Garfield's called a meeting, and he says, McGann leads the team behind the scenes, and Calder is one of the heads of the Justice League, and in the spotlight. They're both doing good jobs, but there's something missing, he thinks. There needs to be a public version of their covert team. And Aquaman's like, nope, puts a target on you. We're not doing that. That's what the Justice League is for. But Beast Boy's reasoning is that between Lex Luthor and Baron Bedlam and Granny Goodness, they're instigating and capitalizing on anti-metahuman sentiment. And he thinks it would be a good idea to show some young heroes fighting the good fight. Essentially, they'll make themselves accessible to young kids, young metas like themselves, through social media. And Car's not anticipating the horrible comments on the Twitter and the YouTube. The naive little fool. Aquaman's like, okay, we can consider this, but Gar pulls the same thing that the original 3 of the team did, saying that, or rather the original 4, get on board or get out of the way. And Connor just gives the side eye, like, oh, he pulled that card. Static and Blue Beetle and Kid Flash and Wonder Girl, and they're all basically giving their reasons for being on Gar's side on this. Many of them already have their identities well known, and others, Kid Flash, Bart, he doesn't really care for the whole secret identity thing. Brion says his kingdom already knows what he is, but now he wants to show them who he is. And there's this quick little back and forth between Static and Blue Beetle about adding more color to the team, which kind of tongue-in-cheek, but still kind of funny, too. As for Halo, Terra, 13, and Forager, I guess Violet's speaking for all of them, saying that, they're not ready, not quite yet, so I guess those 4 will be McGann's team at the moment. So it's more or less been decided. Tigress and Connor and McGann will work together with the not quite ready set, while Beast Boy leads this new public team. But they'll still, on the sly, report to Miss Martian. And, it's all well and good, but there's something else Beast Boy wants to deal with. He's basically set up a base at the top of a tower in Hollywood where they have, all the amenities they could want for downtime and, just almost enough tech to, observe, mission statements and so forth, like holographic interfaces, and they still need, a data tube, a metabay, but it's getting about as well furnished as Mount Justice back in the day. Everyone will get their own rooms, which is something Brion seems pretty happy about. And, there's even a room for Victor, even though he doesn't want to be part of the team and all that. And who's paying for this? Granny Goodness. Gar's still under contract, but, he's going to be basically using her money to finance her own downfall, which is suspiciously clever of the little green imp. But, of course, McGann doesn't like the idea of all these teenagers under one roof without adult supervision. And Artemis makes a crack like, yeah, who knows what could happen. Phrasing. But that's when Dr. Helga Jace decides to volunteer her services as a kind of den mother. She's not much caring for living in a hotel as she has for the past 4 months or so. And it'll be nice to, be like a family. And before we cut to a different scene, Forager is kind of mourning no longer living inside ship, Brion makes a crack like he'll enjoy living in this penthouse, basically, as opposed to inside the bio RV. And, Forager's just gonna, like, he's sad. He's gonna be separated from ship. Well, they're both technically alien life forms, so I guess they kind of bonded. So we go to this town called Brooklyn, Maine. There's a Brooklyn in Maine now. Anyway, this kindly sheriff is offering a ride to a young woman when a ship starts firing at them. And she records it with her phone, and McGann gets an alert back in Hollywood, and Gar hits what he calls the trouble alert, which is basically the trouble alert from Super Friends. Nice little reference there. And alarm starts going off, and everyone starts gathering, hoping it's not another drill. And they're watching this smart cam footage uploading live. They recognize that it's a Reach ship, and that hits a nerve with Blue Beetle. Just as they're about to head out, it looks like Aquaman is already on the scene. So he goes to try and rip one ship apart, but it turns out that ship brought friends. Those ships knock him off. They start firing at him, and the girl is still recording live, commentating on what's going on. Oh no, they killed Aquaman! Oh no, he's getting up, he's fine. And then more of the team show up. I guess they took ship. Maybe ship's going to be, with them for the duration of their stay. And, she starts naming them off. She doesn't seem to recognize Wonder Girl, but she does recognize the green bird as Garfield Logan. And she starts fangirling out. It's hilarious. So Jaime Scarab is confirmed, these are Reach ships, and he can deactivate them on contact, but, one at a time. And I guess Gar has this collar that lets him communicate when he's in beast form, which is actually pretty smart. I noticed on the DC Universe streaming sites community pages, like someone made a reference about Scooby-Doo in this particular episode before I saw it, and I really, I wasn't sure if maybe they were just jumping to conclusions, because the sheriff did kind of remind me of Mystery Incorporated, and the girl and the young woman he was offering a lift to was voiced by Gray Griffin, who's been voicing Daphne in various Scooby-Doo projects for several years now. It really hit home when Wonder Girl gets, knocked into a library, and this, other young woman is, looking for her spectacles. Velma couldn't see a thing without her glasses, so Wonder Girl says, stay inside and stay safe, citizen, and flies out. And the Velma starts recording with her phone, while saying, call me super amalgamated. Amalgamated? That means combining two things. What are you combining? Maybe there's something I'm missing there, but whatever. They cause this Reach ship to crash to the ground and knock over a snowman with an ascot being built by, another young woman with a cell phone. That's odd. So the Daphne is still recording as Aquaman's trying to get her to safety, and, it's being broadcast to a hospital in Central City. I think that's supposed to be Jay Garrick and his wife. The youth center in New Mexico, Artemis watching with Tara and Violet. The team takes down all three ships. Artemis seems a little forlorn because she kind of got used to having a crowded house, but it's looking like maybe there's going to be more space, with Tara and Halo leaving, and there's no guarantees, but Beast Boy's talking to these three young women with their cell phones, and you can hear one of them say something like, "It's media celebrity Beast Boy." What an odd thing to say. I'm just so suspicious about these ladies that, are they plants? I don't think they are, but it just seems weird. So anyway, they get the pilots out of the ships, and it turns out, that they're not Reach aliens. They are with Intergang. There's Whisper Adair, Scorpia Adair. I don't know who she is. I'm maybe Whisper's sister, cousin. I have no idea. Then someone named Cairo Defray. Again, someone I've never heard of. And they have their own "if it weren't for you meddling kids" moment. You see, this is good satire. This is good satire. Not you're like, Seth MacFarlane, let's throw a poop joke into everything.
Okay, so then what's satire?
Nobody really knows.
So something starts blinking in one of the ships, and that activates the underwater ship. And then the mayor of Brooklyn starts ranting and raving about wanting the costumed kids arrested because the Justice League didn't go through proper channels. But they're not Justice League. They saved the town, but look what they did to the library. There's a broken window. And I guess the blonde girl is supposed to basically be Fred Jones from Mystery Incorporated because, well, the mayor in Mystery Incorporated was Fred's dad. A little more complicated than that, but if you haven't seen the show, I recommend it. Anyway. So the mayor basically forces the sheriff to arrest the young heroes, which Beast Boy's like, okay, just go with it, stand down. That's when Big Mama Ship shows up, starts firing on them. They hide behind a Reach ship, because according to Scarab, we don't hear from Scarab, oddly enough. Jaime relays that the ship is on autopilot, so it's not going to target it, its own technology, so they're safe hiding behind the war bugs. But the mayor still won't call the Justice League. We don't need them. We got the United States Air Force, and 2 drones come in and fire missiles that do absolutely nothing, and then the ship fires back at them. Calder's hands are tied. He can't do anything because the mayor doesn't want anything to do with the Justice League. But, Gar's whole deal is about rebellion, so he tells his team to rebel. They all get out of their handcuffs quite handily and go to take on the ship and say, hey, you can arrest us again after we save your town. Again. So in Star City, I guess there's a thunderstorm going, and the thunder really, scares Leanne. She runs into Artemis's room where I guess Tara and Halo were there as well. And she says, the thunder can't hurt you. Be brave, like Tara and Violet. Tara's remembering when she was a child, going, to see her parents. Then another crack of thunder, and then all of a sudden, Halo just goes under the covers, hiding from the thunder. The other thunderclap didn't bother her, but this one did. So Artemis hands Leanne over to Tara to comfort while she comforts Halo. It's kind of an odd scene, but I guess if she's this whole reborn element to Violet's character, I guess it's possible, but she's been with the team for almost half a year at this point in the series time, so it's just kind of there hasn't been a thunderstorm in all that time until now. So the team gets onto the ship because Blue Beetle can only shut it down from the inside. So he interfaces with the vessel while Kid Flash makes sure that there aren't any baddies left on the ship, except for their skeletons, but those probably don't pose much of a threat. And he thinks that they're in absolutely no danger, and that's exactly when the U.S. Air Force arrives with, actual planes instead of drones. Timing. So the ship's going to automatically fire on those planes, and the only way to cut off power to the weapons is to cut off power to the engines too. So Garfield has an idea. Fly the ship away from the town, then cut power and avoid, flattening this Brooklyn and destroying those manned planes. And we see this play out, being commentated by not Daphne, and being watched by others who have been watching the broadcast the whole time. Ship crashes in a deserted area, and planes pass it by, and, the mayor, the sheriff, Aquaman, and the news girl gang, as they're supposedly called, go to see the crash site, and, the young heroes all pile out, and the mayor still wants them arrested, and, Gar's freely opening them back into handcuffs, but the sheriff, being far more competent than his Mystery Incorporated counterpart, cites Statute 1616 in the town laws. It's saying, the Good Samaritan law, that if an act of good outweighs any damage done, then, it's all square. They're free to go. And that was just utterly delightful. And of course the mayor just grumbles his way away, and the girls are basically interviewing them, asking, if you're not the Young Justice League, who are you, Young Justice League? And I'm pretty sure that was ripped right from the first issue of the original Young Justice title, which is, if you're not familiar with the original comic, it's not at all like the show. It was much more comedically inclined. It wasn't like goofball slapstick comedy. It was just like a lot of, funny dialogue and humorous situations that you had characters reacting to various levels of, seriousness. And Beast Boy, he repeats the whole get on board or get out of the way line, and he says that, they're not answering to bureaucrats, they're not going to listen to bad guys, they're there to do what's right, and they're all outsiders. Like the name of the show! You get it? Artemis asks Tara to put Leanne to bed, and you can see on the expressions on her face from, carrying the young girl, putting her to bed, and, texting Slade, what her orders are, and she's told to just, relax for now. There's this expression on her face, like there is some conflict within her, and she still seems loyal, but those loyalties are clearly being tested. Whether that means she's going to admit to what she's done, much like much of the team did with each other in the first season, or she'll fight against them at first and then have a change of heart. It could go either way. We go to the Batcave, where, Batman, Robin, Nightwing, Oracle, Wonder Woman via hologram, and Aquaman and Miss Martian. Those last two are saying, well, we found this Reach ship at the bottom of the ocean, and we caught, at least one Intergang member trying to salvage it, but by that time, Whisper Adair had already taken the warbugs. And she had planned to auction them off after a little demonstration of their power, i.e. why they attacked a quiet little town with apparently only 5 citizens, most of whom are teenage girls. I don't know. I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense, because it's the only thing that explains Whisper's comment about getting a big score interrupted by those meddling heroes. So Aquaman intentionally threw the fight in order to motivate Garfield's team, and especially since Blue Beetle was the choice to take down Reach Tech, but they didn't anticipate the ship acting on its own through autopilot. But in any event, Garfield's team did a good job. Aquaman asks, since Beast Boy is the leader of these outsiders, shouldn't he be included in this little clandestine powwow? But McGann doesn't think he's ready, and I'm willing to bet that that's going to lead to some serious tension between the two foster siblings when eventually he finds out that some Leaguers and Robin have been acting in the shadows. It could be easily construed as, oh, you're manipulating us, or some stuff. But she says, well, Gar's got his own mission, and it seems to work well for what, Aquaman, Batman, and the rest are working towards. Whatever that is. we get the credits with Bruce Lee sleeping with a Wally West Kid Flash plushie. And at first I thought there was a Christmas tree next to him, but I guess it was just like a frilly pillow or something. Anyway, it was a really good episode establishing this like new iteration of the team, playing into the whole Outsiders gimmick. We had some really nice action. It was... I am just amazed. Like, they have this really goofy mayor, these obvious references and allusions to Scooby-Doo, in particular, Mystery Incorporated. And some of them get a little too tongue-in-cheek for my taste. Like, just some of the word, like, oh, look, the not Velma is using really big fancy words. Like, okay, you stepped that up a couple notches too high. But it blends so well with everything else going on, and like, okay, I can see like Intergang, attacking a small sleepy town for a big score, so long it was a demonstration to sell off these alien warships. That makes sense. At the end, when Aquaman and McGann were talking about finding the ship in the ocean, I thought that this was going to end up being like this big ploy they did to legitimize Gar's team in the eyes of the public, like create a fake disaster, and they have these like, because the way that the news girls were acting just seemed kind of off, but it wouldn't really explain why the sheriff and not Daphne were talking the way they were if they were in on some big ploy. And it also wouldn't explain why Whisper Adair and her cohorts were involved. It worked so well, I thought, and it's just such I know I said it before, but excellent satire. Or parody, one of the two. It's easy to get those confused. But, or heck, maybe it's both. We also got a little hint as to Tara, what specifically is on her mind, what she might be doing and thinking. I'm willing to bet that she's going to... I think it would be too much like season 1. It would be too much of a replication, and maybe not in a good way, if before she did anything seriously bad, she came clean. Because if you remember in season 1, Connor was using those patches he got from Lex Luthor. Artemis was keeping the secret that she kind of comes from a crime family, and McGann was keeping her true form hidden from everyone else. And these were all used against them to varying capacities. So here we have someone who seems... I would guess that Tara is angry that she was taken. Maybe she was, manipulated. Her mind was warped into thinking that her parents never cared about her, or if they found out she was a meta, they would disown her, and she got to thinking that was true, and so she's acted against, her parents. Maybe she doesn't care that they're dead, and she's willing to go against her brother and these people who have taken her in and grown to care about her, which, it could go either way, and the team on this show, they've done such a good job in how they tell these stories, and not just the stories that they tell. We got a lot of good insight and some very interesting foreshadowing of what could be in the near future. So I'll see you for the next one. Later.